TV here with Mr. Brian Mendoza. Brian, big time fight again. Tim Tszyu and Fundora are going to wrap around it again, man. What do you think about the fight?
I think it's a really interesting fight. Some things have happened since they fought the first time, so it definitely makes it more interesting. But I kind of like what I saw from Tszyu in the last fight, in his comeback fight. I know it wasn't like a huge level fight, but it's the most challenging, I guess. But I looked at little details. I did like what I see in that. We still have to see when Tszyu gets caught, by a big shot again. And then Fundora. I kind of didn't like what I saw in his last fight. I felt like he almost regressed a little bit. He was super sharp and on point with Tszyu, and not so much. But obviously, you rise to the level of your competition, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. But we're gonna see. I'm very interested, and I definitely got my eyes on that fight to see who the winner is.
Who are you giving an early edge to when you think about what both guys, like you said, the trajectory since both guys have been together? There's been a little bit of changes. If you had to pick a guy early, who do you think you give the edge to? Maybe not to win, but who you're leaning toward right now?
I still honestly lean towards Tszyu a little bit more. Like I said, we got to see when Tszyu gets really cracked again. But Fundora's not the type of guy to crack you. He will. The thing with him is pressure and volume. He's suffocating you. Just trying to not let you think, not let you breathe. But I don't think that's what's gonna really freak Tszyu out. So we'll see. And then, like I said, before the cut in the first fight, Tszyu was really on point. He had his range, his distance going, and so I'm still kind of leaning towards it. But we still need to see just how much Tszyu can come back after that loss.
What kind of things do you look for in a fighter when they're coming back from such a crushing defeat as Tszyu did to Pacquiao? What kind of things are you looking for initially?
It's a lot of little details, like in the body language, how they're reacting, even off feints and stuff like that. You'll see people are just a little more twitchy or bite on a couple more feints and stuff. And Tszyu looked pretty calm, in his fight. And, obviously, the level of competition and stuff was different. But it's still those details you look for, because you even saw Haney and...
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
There's the contrast that you're talking about right there. Is Devin Haney versus Ramirez, maybe hypermobility.
Right, and I do think so during the fight, I thought, I was like, dude, this guy's freaked out. He's not. But even after, guys like Caleb Plant were mentioning that if you do that for 12 rounds, it's a game plan. You're not just scared, like you train to fight that way, which is true, because that's an exhausting game plan, man. We're just running track for 12 rounds.
Right.
But I don't know, man. And I also think it's a mix of, how they're saying some fighters getting too much money and they're already waiting for the next fight. Like, he was already looking forward to the Ryan fight, so maybe it's like, let's just skate by, just get this win and move on to the big money fight, the real big money fight, the next one. So man, there's so many kind of things up in the air, so I don't know anymore. But the Haney one, at least when I was watching it live, man, I did think that was a little too scary, a little too much boxing. But man, he got the win, and it's on to the next for them. But now still look like Tszyu's gonna be tested in this fight for sure. I just don't know if the power is gonna do it.
When we talk about this fight, of course you got to talk about Pacquiao Barrios, the main event. Manny Pacquiao, 46 going on 47 years old, coming back versus the youngster Mario Barrios, who has shown some vulnerability as of late. Vulnerability, fought Angel Ramos, taking some big punches, walloped around the ring, eyes swollen. And a lot of people say that one thing you can't do against Manny Pacquiao is to be stationary and have your feet in the mud. Kind of what it looked like a little bit versus Ramos. What do you think Barrios has to clean up to not get hurt by Pacquiao? Or can Pacquiao even do it anymore?
I think Pacquiao, at least, in the first half of the fight, first 4 to 6, I think he's still going to be able to be kind of show signs of the old Manny Pacquiao. I think the wear and tear and everything, the age will kind of show more later in the fight. But again, so Abel Ramos is a dog. He's definitely a problem when you're in there. But I also think, man, this is Manny Pacquiao. You're gonna rise to the occasion. You're definitely gonna be your sharpest. I actually see him now sharper than he normally is at this stage in camp. This is super early in camp. I think 7 weeks, and he's already making improvements.
Have you seen Manny in camp, or are you talking about?
I haven't seen. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about Barrios.
Okay, Mario.
Yeah. Okay. Mario's he's my homie, one of my best friends and everything, and so I see him day in and day out. Yeah.
You said that he looks better than he had versus Ramos.
Yeah.
Cleaned up the feet stuff.
Yeah, man. Honestly, everything—the feet, the hands, the reaction. No, Mario's gonna be on point for this fight. I can say that with full confidence, and it's just how sharp and everything against a guy like Pacquiao. But I have full confidence in Mario for this one.
We've heard conversations in the past about Manny Pacquiao kind of lulls you to sleep in a press conference like this. He smiles, he plays coy, he pays compliments. He shakes hands, he kisses babies. But then on fight night, you get that dragon from across the ring that comes at you and tries to rip your head off. And you talk to Mario Barrios about making sure he's ready to pull the trigger when it comes time.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about it, but I think he knows what he's in for, man. Like maybe at this point in his career and Pacquiao's career, you know what you're in for. Like you're not gonna let some guy like, oh, I'm this nice guy. Everybody knows full well who Pacquiao is. I don't think he's falling asleep, and I think even just the fact that some people are saying like, oh, Mario's just fighting an old man, so they're already trying to not give him credit. And on top of like on the other hand, people are saying, oh, it's Manny Pacquiao, so he's gonna roll Barrios. So I think there's enough motivation and enough things on both sides to motivate Mario enough to not fall for like the friendly talk and everything right now.
We got in the co-main Pitbull versus Fierro fight 2. Pitbull edges Fierro out in a gunfight the last time out a couple months ago on the Benavidez-Morel undercard. What do you think happens in fight 2? What does Fierro have to do to steal the day? He looked like he hurt Pitbull a couple of times last time out.
I don't think this is a good weight class for Pitbull. I will start with that. But from there, man, it was a great fight. I feel like people aren't mentioning that fight as fight of the year. And for me, that was like big time, like as stereotypical, as cliche, like just banging it out. I thought that could definitely be a fight of the year. So the second one, we're going to see even more. Man, it's hard. I don't know if Fierro's going to, if it's round 13, I think Fierro, like, he might be able to make the adjustments and take it, but man, Pitbull is a freaking dog. Like his name fits him more than I think anyone else I've seen. There's a lot of Pitbulls, but man, he's truly a dog. So we're gonna see it. I'm just excited to see that one as a fan.
Brian, I was there at the War Grounds. I was literally sitting on the apron when you knocked Fundora out. What does Tszyu have to do to get that kind of result? What kind of approach would you tell him that is necessary for him to score the KO that he was so viciously wants?
I don't know about the knockout, but I think the same game plan he had in the first fight, it was working. Fundora had a really good jab, but he was still able to find spots around it, keep his range. It's a lot for him. I think a 13th round would also be nice, obviously just without the cut. 13th round type stuff, I think that'll be for him. I don't think he has to make too many adjustments. Obviously, Fundora's gonna game plan, film study from the last one, but I just feel like Tszyu had his range really good. I think that's the main focus for the fight. Keeping the range, the right range, being able to avoid the pressure and everything, and off to the angles and stuff. I think that's the main thing for this one.
I don't think we've seen you cut and bloody like that before, where just streaming blood down, but how does a guy shake off the trauma from a previous fight? The thought process, even you may win, you may lose, but you still are receiving trauma, sometimes seeing the blows when you're falling asleep and things like that. How exactly do you shake those type of things off and get past it?
I could say, like motivational stuff and this and that, but to be a fighter and to get through stuff like that, you got to be a little crazy. Like that's really what it is, because you have to not care. Like there's been times, like even my last fight in Boachuk, like I had like big like jaw swelling and stuff. It never cracked or fractured, which a lot of people think, but can't break this thing, huh? But like you go through wars. I've been cut in fights and stuff, and you don't know what it's like until you literally go through it. Like everybody can say, oh, like when I get buckled in a fight, I'm just gonna bite down, or when I get cut, I'm not gonna care. But once it happens to you, it's a very like a surprising feeling, like shocking moment. But you have to be just crazy enough to not care. Like you still gotta be cautious and everything, be intelligent around it, but you gotta be just crazy enough to not care. Like who cares, man? It happened. That was already 3 fights ago for Tszyu, and yeah, he already has a solid win. He looked calm and composed in that fight. So not forget about it, but you just gotta act like it didn't happen, man, and just be able to bite down and know that you at least have that in the tank. That even through these huge cuts and everything, you can do whatever it takes.
You just said something that leads me to my next point. When you said crazy enough to not care, the guy that comes to mind, I got to hang out with sometime last week, was Teofimo Lopez. Crazy enough to not care. Teofimo Lopez was linked to Devin Haney a couple of days ago. It's like them in Turkey that came to an agreement for Devin and Teo to fight. Teo tweets that Turkey's a dictator. Turkey quashes the whole card. Everything that was supposed to be done, didn't let it happen. What are your thoughts on that, number one? And two, the action in the ring with Teo and Devin. What would that fight look like?
I always I would have rather, I like Teofimo's style a lot, but I think anybody else would kind of make a better fight. I'm just not too big on seeing a Haney fight at the moment. You know, like no hate or anything, but that's not the style of fights I like to watch. And but you know, I like Teofimo in there with almost anybody. But I don't know, man. Like you mentioned the crazy stuff. I don't know. I don't know what he's angling at. I don't know like what fight he's really trying to pull for. Nah, he lost me, bro. I have no idea what he's like. Because you know, everybody, they can act crazy. They can like try to angle, you know, for a specific fight they want, or even, you know, just moving the chess pieces. I don't know what chess pieces he's moving. So that one I don't really have an answer for. But you know, if they do fight, I'm definitely still favoring Teofimo, and we're kind of gonna see what happens. But I don't know who he's fighting next. I don't know who he's trying to fight next, really.
Teofimo actually he's been linked to bouts.
Yeah.
Most recently, a couple of days ago. I mean, it was one opponent, just another opponent. We're kind of going back and forth, bouncing to where we're going to stop. We don't know yet, but bouts and Teofimo Lopez. What type of compelling matchup is that in your eyes?
I would love to see that fight, just as a fan of boxing. That would be a really great fight, and I like how Teofimo he does really show up for the big fights. So you know, he'll be super on point for that, and then bouts is bouts, you know, every time. But I might edge Teofimo on that one, but I can't just pick like a clear like, oh, he walks away with it or anything like that. So that's still kind of a 50-50 fight for me. But I don't know. But even him, you know, I saw Teofimo was saying that bouts ducked, that he turned down the fight. I don't know the details behind that. I don't know if, you know, the negotiations just fell through or something. But like I say, it's very hard to predict what Teofimo's doing right now. So I have no idea. So I'm just waiting until a fight gets lined up so we can see that.
Brian, when we gonna see you back in the ring again, brother? What's up?
I'm actually trying to get like a tune-up fight or something, you know, like just get back in there. Maybe within the next month. I'm literally ready. I've been training for a year now with Rich Barrientos and Bob Santos at Pound for Pound here in Vegas. Made a lot of changes that I'm really excited to show the world. And so we'll see if we can get that tune-up. And then I don't care. I'll literally be right back at it. If I can jump on this card, I will. But I'm still ranked, you know, in a lot of different rankings, you know, from belts and just the world rankings. So I'll be able to get right back in a big fight really soon. So I'm just trying to get this tune-up, you know, get back in the win column, and then literally anybody, man. I'm looking at the winner of Sebastian Fundora, everybody, all these guys with belts, bro. I'm just trying to get in there.
Well, there you have it, fight fans. From a guy who knows the warrior, Mr. Brian Mendoza. Brian, thank you for your time. This is Fight Up TV.
Appreciate you guys always.